Good morning. I'd like to convene the Knox County Ethics Committee Subcommittee meeting today, Friday, November 7, 8:30 a.m. Would like to welcome everybody here as our members. And Miss Rhonda, or Miss Kim. Miss Kim, are you comfortable taking the roll?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Michael Biddle,
Yes, ma'am.
Crystal Gibson.
Here.
Stephen Goodpasture, Carletta Randall Smelser, Marcus Kennedy.
Here.
And Greg Stinnett.
Here.
And I understand Mr. Byron Wood is no longer on the committee.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you have 5 members present. Well, 3 voting members present and 2 non-voting members. We have 5 present, but 3 voting members.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Kim. Thank you for taking the roll. I apologize. I'd like to add a devotion to the future agenda, Ms. Rhonda, if we could. But today, I'd just like to share with everybody that I find the best wisdom comes from above. In James 3:17, James relates to us, but the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. May we lean on the Lord's wisdom and understanding today in these proceedings. Thank you so much. Ms. Rhonda sent out, and Ms. Rhonda, thank you as always, sent out the minutes from the October 17, 2025. If you'd like a minute to review these, and once you have, if I could have a motion to accept, or if there's any addendums or changes.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. Gibson. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second. Thank you. Any suggested changes, edits, addendums? Seeing none or hearing none, all those in favor?
Just
Sir?
small clear.
Yeah.
I work in HR, not IT. It's on the meet the minutes.
Where is that, Mr. Kennedy?
I guess, including the cover letter, page 3.
Page-
Last paragraph.
All right.
Oh, maybe it's page 2 then. Yeah, right there.
I got you.
Oh, second to last
That's all.
paragraph.
It really doesn't matter, but
Well, you know what? It does matter. It does matter.
HR, Human Resources, yeah.
Mr. Kennedy will make those changes?
it's no big deal.
No, it's important, man. All right. Along with the changes that Mr. Kennedy offered, all those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes carry the day. Thank you for approving the minutes. All right. So, and we'll put this out at the beginning as well as the end of the meeting. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, December 3rd at 8:30, right here in this room. That's Wednesday, December 3rd at 8:30 in this room, and it will be live streamed again. So we will make that announcement. Ms. Rhonda, any other business that you think I'm trying to slow the roll a little bit on getting the screens up.
If you want to mention that if any of the public come, there is a sign-up sheet.
Oh, thank you. If the public would like to join us either at this meeting or a future meeting, we'd love to have you. And there is a sign-up sheet at the podium in front of us, and we welcome your input anytime. Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. So why don't I get into a little bit of the what suggestions of what will happen today. We have a shared folder, and within that shared folder are working documents. And I found that Mr. Goodpasture had downloaded quite a few documents which look like PDF and history to give us some history and maybe some foundations on on what the Ethics Committee has been about to date. Our goal here, just as a reminder, is for us to review the Code of Ethics and the policies and procedures. And I thought today we would just focus on the Code of Ethics, because if we try to change some policies and procedures, but we don't have the Code of Ethics set, we're just going to have to come back around and do that again until we finalize the Code of Ethics. Does that sound fair, everybody? Wonderful. So one of those things with my favorite HR person in the whole wide world, Marcus Kennedy, is setting up the screens. Within that, I had downloaded a red line version of the Code of Ethics. And within that red line version would be some suggested changes to the ethics code. And I believe there's 8 or 9 suggested changes that I'd like to talk to us about. And none of these can be finalized without Mr. Sanders' review and okey dokey from the law department. So today is a discussion, and some of these may be valid, but the verbiage may have to change to pass muster with CTAS and state law and federal guidelines. So that's where we have the big guy here. Does this sound fair, Mr. Sanders?
It sounds fair. I'm certainly glad to give my input, and I will. I should make it clear that the body that will approve or not approve a code of ethics is the county commission, not this body, not the ethics committee writ large. The only body that can create a code of ethics is the county commission.
Thank you for that reminder, and we're all aware of that here at this table, Mr. Sanders. And I'd like to welcome Commissioner Terry Hill. Since you're the only commissioner here, you are my favorite commissioner today. And we really love having you. I hope some of the other commissioners are watching. My favorite commissioner, Terry Hill. Yes, great reminder from Mr. Sanders that we just make suggestions, and we'll present these hopefully within, Crystal, you have to help me with a calculator, but 180 days less a couple months when we present these for suggestions and final approval to the commission. Wonderful. So we do have these up on the screen. Mr. Marcus, you're the man. So what I've done here, and I don't know if you all have just the Code of Ethics or you have the red line printed out. This is,
I do not have that red line one. Do we have extra copies of that so I can mark all over it?
we're going to run up and make some copies. Miss Rhonda?
She'll just
Print it out. All right. Well, until then, we're going to have Miss Terry Hill speak for the next 10 minutes to give us some time. You can put those in the notes. She loves when I dote on her. So what happened here is you'll notice from the red line, the black sections in these, which you'll get a copy, is the current Code of Ethics. And then the red line are suggested changes and or additions. And these line up, and I can read this to you. The Code of Ethics has been updated to incorporate standard practices and policies commonly adopted by county governments across the United States, including enhanced oversight on expenses, clearer definitions for ethical behavior, expanded disclosure requirements, stronger enforcement mechanisms, and periodic reviews. Updates draw from the model codes such as those provided by the National Association of Counties, federal standards from the Office of Government Ethics, and state-specific guidelines under Tennessee's Comprehensive Governmental Ethics Reform Act of 2006, as amended. Key things include, and we'll get into those in a minute, as the following keys are splattered throughout this document in red. And you can read them up there too if you'd like. I hope that the public can see it as well. I hope Ms. Terry Hill can see them. And Ms. Terry will make sure we get you a copy of this. Of course. Is your microphone on, ma'am?
battery in.
Oh, you might have to shove the
That
battery.
in.
Downloading, okay.
Might be able to speak from the podium.
Would you like to try?
Podium mic is working.
You take your time.
Okay.
Just for clarification, I am looking at the Knox County Code of Ethics that is printed out. This appears to be a different format. Are the revisions that you're talking about going to be off of, are you starting with this as your base, or are you going to be starting as what's actually down in our code at the moment as your base?
Great question. So when you receive this, you'll notice, and up on the screen, anything in black is our current code of ethics. Nothing has been deleted at all from the current code of ethics, and that's another discussion we can certainly have as we go through it. What's been suggested as potential additions is in red. Yes, ma'am. I love it. And above that red has been highlighted, but it's further expanded throughout the document and placed in it where I think it should go. I'd also like to thank former Ethics Committee member Byron Wood for his input on this and his hard work on this. So to Mr. Wood, if you're watching, a big pat in the back and a big thank you. Was that helpful? Did I answer your question, Madam Commissioner? Thank you, ma'am. So right now, I'm just pausing for the copies to get here, and wonderful Miss Rhonda is getting those for us.
Mr. Biddle, if you'd like, I can put up the website. We can talk about that while she brings the copies down and just show some of the changes that we've made, if that helps. That way
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
So what we've done is created a little announcement at the top, just letting people know that the subcommittee exists, if they want to see who the subcommittee members are, and then below that, we'll add any of the working papers and documents that we have later on. So a PDF version of that redline draft rather will go there eventually, and we'll update the names too, since this hasn't been updated yet. So, and then if anyone in the public has input, they want to send in ideas or suggestions, they've got this portal right here that they can submit their ideas or suggestions to, and it's going to come to myself and Ms. Rhonda that we can then disperse out to you all. So it makes it pretty easy.
Mr. Kennedy, I love that. I hope that the public will, can you go one more time? So it's Knox County Ethics Committee.
knoxcounty.org/ethics, and that'll take you to this page directly.
Okay, or if someone Googles it or DuckDuckGo,
Yeah.
Knox County Ethics Committee's okay.
Yep.
And then where's the jump page for public input, sir?
Right here, the subcommittee portal.
Wonderful.
So you click on that, and that's going to open up your browser to just be able to submit anything right there through the website.
Okay. And the three required, just in case we need to get a hold of somebody, I'm sure for clarity, but also to assure that the person putting in
Yep.
is the person saying they are.
Yeah.
What's required? I see name, email.
First name, last name, email, phone number, and then this text box is fillable and adjustable too, so if they have a lot of stuff they want to move it around, add more text, then they can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great job, sir. Great job. Anything else to highlight, sir?
That's it. We've got the ethics training video on there, the policy itself, the existing policy, and then our rules, and then for the ethics complaint itself. Again, it has to be a sworn complaint, and so they can download the complaint form and get it notarized and submit it the right way from there. But just tried to make things as easy as possible.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Public input is so important, not only at this meeting, but every meeting. And one of the joys I've had for living here for 3 years is to see great public input, especially at commission meetings. And we need that in the subcommittees as well. I'd encourage that. Mr. Sanders, anything on your mind today?
Not at the moment.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you much. And I'm only pausing for the benefit of the crowd because that's still far away. I couldn't read that to save my life, but you've got, Miss Terry, you've got a good view. All right. Oh, I think that's for you, Miss Kim. No, ma'am. I was.
I thought I was going to give our prescription check.
Yeah. I do have some good binoculars at home and some. All right. Did Mr. Kennedy receive one as well? You got it? Wonderful. All right, without any further ado, is it okay with the committee if we move forward? Yep. All right. So, what I would like to do here, and just for the benefit, I'm going to concentrate on the changes if we could. And under Section 1 definitions, it defines county. If there's any changes that y'all see, we're not making any final suggestions today, okay? And since we are covered under the Sunshine Law, for the benefit of the public, we can't speak to each other about work product as a committee when we're not in public. So just for the benefit of the public and those in attendance, that's why we're slowing this and slowing our roll and making sure that everybody's on the same page. This is our first time communicating since our last meeting in regards to business. Definitions, the definition of county, the definition of officials and employees. If you go to page 2, and committee members, please stop me at any point. 3, personal interest. And this is where I'd like to start some of our suggested changes. Number 3, personal interest means for the purpose of disclosure of personal interest in accordance with this code of ethics, a financial interest of the official or employee, or a financial interest of the official's or employee's spouse or child living in the same household, in the matter to be voted upon, regulated, supervised, or otherwise acted upon in an official capacity. And then the suggested change here, this definition is expanded to include any interest that could reasonably be perceived as influencing impartiality, such as investments, outside employment, or relationships with entities doing business with the county. And again, this is the first time I believe that Mr. Sanders has seen this, so we'll talk in the whole here, if we agree with this or not, and we'll wait upon because it's not fair to Mr. Sanders to ask for an opinion right away. But if we agree in the whole, we could discuss and move on. And also, Mr. Sanders' input at any time is always welcome.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly am not going to try to opine regarding these changes right now. I'll have to look and see whether they conform with the law and whether they would whether or not they would necessitate a review by the State Ethics Commission. But certainly discuss among yourselves, and I will give you an opinion when I can.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments on this first suggestion?
We're probably getting into the weeds a little early, but personal interest, as defined, to expand on employee, spouse, and child living in the same household. Would we want to look at something to the effect of a personal interest that has to, include something family member, and not necessarily living in the same household, or are we getting too far in the weeds?
No, we're not, and in fact, Ms. Crystal, that's coming up
Oh, okay.
later.
Okay.
So it'll be further defined, so it's a great point. It's a great point. Please mark that down to hold me to it, but it is coming up. Yeah, love it. Captain, Ms. Carletta, any comments? Are we all okay to, and again, we're not accepting, but we're okay.
May
One-
I?
Yes, Miss Terry. Yes, I love
I
it.
have my light on.
I
my light
can't,
on?
there it is, now I see it. Throw your cup up in the air. Commissioner Terry Hill.
Thank you. And I promise my intent is not to hijack this committee. This is something I have a very personal interest in, and ethics really is at the heart of everything that this county should be about. And this might better be directed to Mr. Sanders, this question, but when we talk about personal interest, my concern is that, or my question is that it seems to stop a little bit after we get explaining what financial interests might be. I appreciate very much the addition of expand interests that could be easily perceived as influencing impartiality, such as investments. I think this is a great addition to a actual definition of personal interest. One thing, and I know attorneys hate this because I know it isn't black and white, but another thing that I would encourage this board, if there's any way to do this, to encompass is ethics also has to do with the way that the person who might be looked at is perceived by the general public. I'm not talking about agree or disagree with, something political, or I think we should be pink or blue instead of red and black, in our colors, but something that affects the confidence of the public or the integrity of the department. So I'm just wondering, since ethics is really beyond a legal definition of what true ethics are, because we have ethics, most all professional boards have ethics, and you can in fact violate the ethics out of everything and not actually ever break a law. My concern is that and maybe we have no choice being a public entity, but my concern is that when we have to tie it or choose to tie it so closely to what the law might dictate as interests, that we get away from the spirit of what is really an ethical boundary. So that's just my comment in this process.
Thank you. We'll keep that in mind, and if you have any specifics as we go through this, please
mean-
throw the cup or turn the light on.
You mean like specific wording? Mm-hmm. I might suggest an action affecting adversely the confidence of the public or integrity of the Knox County government. And y'all are going to want me to go home.
No, in fact, we're in action affecting,
Adversely.
adversely affecting, or affecting adversely?
Well, I wrote down affecting adversely the confidence of the public.
Wait. The confidence of the public,
Or integrity of Knox County government.
or the,
Mr. Kennedy's coming through for you, sir. He's already got it up there.
oh, wonderful. I love it, thank you. Or the integrity of Knox County government. Well, we'll keep that. Thank you, Mr.
Just a
Kennedy.
suggestion.
Love it, thank you. How does how's the board feel about those suggested changes? I like it. So, Mr. Sanders, it'll be easy for you to, thank you, Mr. Kennedy, it'll be easy for you to go in and work off the working document for checking things out after.
I certainly appreciate that consideration. I haven't quite decided whether I'll work off the document or whether I'll just issue an opinion, but I'll certainly, obviously going to be a lot of work necessary to address all of these proposed changes.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, we okay with the proposed changes? All right, number 4, added in red, anything of value is expanded to explicitly include flights, political contributions exceeding state limits, and campaign-related benefits in line with enhanced transparency standards. So that was added. We had 3 definitions. That'll be expanded to 4. Any comments on that?
What are we piggybacking that one off of? It just seems
Well, we'll
anything of
see.
value, and just to include particular verbiage like flights. I'm just curious where all this piggybacked from.
Yeah, we'll see that moving forward.
Okay.
Yep, and that will be, anything of value will be, I think, addressed under salaries and expenses.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments there? All right, moving on to Section 2, disclosure of personal interest in voting manners. We have up there the verbiage in black as it currently is, with a suggested addition of disclosures must be filed annually with the county clerk, even if no conflicts arise, to promote proactive transparency aligned with standard U.S. practices. So this heightens it to not just is it there, isn't it there? It gives momentum for a review on an annual basis. Based off of an elected official or employee of Knox County with the responsibility to vote on a measure shall disclose during the meeting at which the vote takes place, before any discussion or vote on the measure, and so it appears in the minutes, any personal interest that affects or that would lead a reasonable person in fear that it affects the official's vote on the measure. In addition, said elected official or employee shall recuse herself from the discussion and/or vote on the matter. This provision shall not be applicable to voting on measures for reapportionment of districts or other measures that affect all members of the Knox County Commission. And this would take it to another level of disclosures. And we would have to, Ms. Rhonda?
Yes.
Do you know where the disclosure form is? Maybe we
There
could,
should be a disclosure form in the back of your notebook attached to your
okay. I keep forgetting that wonderful notebook.
code of ethics. Seems like we had it at the.
It's somewhere in
Yes, it's
there.
at the back of what we're working on. It's at the back of the code of ethics. The very last page,
And it's very simple.
last code. Thank you. The code of ethics that we're working on right now, the original, you should have a copy in your notebook.
So
Code.
at the back of the code, conflict of interest disclosure statement,
Yes, it should be the last page is the disclosure statement,
yes,
and everyone has that in their notebook.
wonderful.
When you expand that to include, as defined under Section 2, an elected official, several elected officials, well, maybe not several, I'm overspeaking, but when you add that section, disclosures must be filed annually with the clerk's office. Is that going to be further expanded to define each elected official? I'm thinking of like sheriffs, mayors.
Well, it's at the very beginning. It says an elected official or an employee of Knox County. Right at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's just, if they have to disclose it in prior to voting, if they're not a voting member. So we're just expanding it to ensure that every elected official and employee files the disclosure, even if they're not really a voting member of any entity.
Correct.
I'm thinking probably way too much into it, but
No.
for example, if an elected official, not that they shouldn't be paying attention to it, but if they fail to file a disclosure and they don't really vote on anything, is there going to be some repercussions that fall back versus some, allegations to the ethics committee because they didn't file this? If we add that verbiage to it and they fail to file that disclosure, even if no conflicts arise, even if they are not a voting member of an entity, is that going to affect? Do you see what I'm saying, or am I talking in circles again?
No, not at all. And one of the things that I'd like to bring up is conflict of interest, or code of ethics that I've signed in the past had me fill out if I had an interest in 5% or more of a business entity. So I wanted to talk to you all about that, too. That would be the type of stuff to notice, that the public would notice for an elected official, as far as doing business with, and so on. I think that would be something to think about in parallel to what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm probably reading too much into it. So
No,
further
not
into
at
the
all.
sentence, responsibility to vote on a measure. I just feel like that language might, if it's a member, elected official or employee that fails to file that disclosure
Well-
with their, but again,
No, if you follow the first word, if you're going to vote on a measure.
Right.
I don't believe that and I'm just going to put it out there, the
Right.
sheriff isn't going to vote on a measure.
right. So I just wanted to make sure that I understood it correctly with the verbiage added.
Yep, so an elected official, first sentence, or employee of Knox County with responsibility to vote.
Okay.
Yep. Does that help?
It does. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
My pleasure. What I did for the benefit of the committee is I read this several times, then I put it under my pillow at night so that it would hopefully even further, because I've got to keep up with Mr. Sanders and Miss Gibson. Okay. Okay to move on, or any other questions or suggestions on this? Okay, in section 3, disclosure of personal interest in non-voting matters. So this really goes more towards where you were going with non-voting members. What has been suggested to add here, so the current is an official employee who must exercise discretion relative to any matter other than casting a vote, and who has a personal interest in the matter that affects or that would lead a reasonable person to infer that it affects the exercise of the discretion shall disclose before the exercise of the discretion when possible the interest on the attached disclosure form, that's in the back of the packet, and file the disclosure form with the county clerk. In addition, the official or employee may, to the extent allowed by law, recuse him or herself from the exercise of discretion in the matter. Suggested addition is procedures for conflicts are clarified to require immediate notification to a supervisor or the ethics committee with documentation retained for audit purposes. So it is notifying, and again, right in the back, the conflict of interest disclosure statement, and just that it's filed and notified to the supervisor or the ethics committee. And there's an or there, not an and, if you notice that. Any comments or suggestions? Number 4, Section 4, acceptance of gifts and other things of value. No suggested changes. The floor is always open to any suggested changes. Solicitation or acceptance of gifts.
I have a comment.
Where are you?
I'm sorry, back
Madam?
in 4.
Back and 4, wonderful.
This is probably more procedural, but this, section 4, it starts out with a negative. What should not be considered a violation. I might just suggest that we should start with what is a violation and then proceed to things that might be excluded. That's just more semantics, but
A lot of times a negative is used to be specific where it is here. I think if you don't do the negative, then it opens up, I don't know if we're going to have enough paper to do the opposite.
I don't, and I don't suggest we remove any of the negative at all. I just was, let me see, I actually had a sentence.
What do you have?
Let's
I
see.
love it.
Let's see. Well, let me pass on that.
Do you want to come back to it if you find it? No problem. No problem. Okay, solicitation or acceptance of gifts. This starts out with no public officer, county employee, or candidate for nomination or election shall solicit or accept anything of value.
This is the one, Mr. Biddle, that gets very muddy. I'm thinking because it goes on to say promise of future employment, favor, or service, which I think is great. Sometimes a little muddy.
It is. Do you have any suggestions on verbiage?
Well, that falls under the Little Hatch Act as well. We could maybe, we could clarify with him, but that pretty much is what it says. I'm sorry? Maybe. That
Oh,
would-
Miss Terry, your mic is off.
I was trying not to talk so much.
Like in conformance or something of that
Yeah,
nature. I
yeah.
don't.
So could I just get clarity, Ms. Gibson and Commissioner?
That would probably be a question for that man to your right.
What?
Just what she was saying about the muddy waters, promise of future employment, favor, or service, if maybe add some verbiage to that section, if I'm understanding Madam Commissioner correctly, to maybe add an addition that says something to the effect of mirroring the Little Hatch Act or in conformance or compliance with the Little Hatch Act, just so that we wouldn't really have to necessarily change our policy, but it would actually just add the verbiage that goes along with the law.
To point two.
Correct.
I think,
Colonel, does that make sense? Mr. Sanders, I apologize. I just love your nickname.
That was what they call me in the Navy.
I know.
Naval aviators have great imaginations.
Are you from, so we're in solicitation or acceptance of gifts.
So what exactly is the question again?
Well, Madam Commissioner and Ms. Gibson have brought up, if you see in the third line here, promise of future employment, they feel it's both a little muddy. So including a gift loan reward, a public officer, county employee, or candidate for nomination or election shall solicit or accept anything of value, including a gift loan reward, promise of future employment, favor, or service based upon an understanding that the vote, action, so on. They're asking for clarity on that, and is there something we could add regarding the Hatch Act or?
That is a question I am not prepared to answer here. The further you stray from the CTAS suggested language, obviously, the further you're going to get into having the State Ethics Commission having to weigh in on this. I'm not saying that's wrong, but just understand what you're doing. As to whether specifically the Hatch Act would even apply in these circumstances, I'm just absolutely not prepared to speak to that without looking at it and thinking about it. That's not something that comes up in our work here. But understand, at the end of the day, all I can do is tell you whether an idea is legal or not. Whether it's a good idea or not is going to be something the county commission ultimately is going to have to figure out.
So maybe, Mr. Sanders, you could opine if, in the future, at our next meeting, if the Hatch Act has any application here. I personally don't see an application here on the Hatch Act, but it'd be great to have your, or something parallel to that, have your opinion. Part of this too, while it is always a wonderful thing to try to get as bullet pointed as possible and understanding as possible, because I think that's also why we're here to help clean up and get some specifics. Sometimes it's also good to have some room to be able to keep the road a little wider as to what's good and what's not good. So,
I agree.
yeah. Okay.
I got one more, and I'll hush.
Yeah. You do not have
No
to-
public county officer, candidate for nomination or election shall solicit, accept, or offer anything of value. Because when you add or offer, it absolutely applies to the promise of, like, if you have a candidate promising someone future employment, soliciting their help for a campaign or something, I could see where that would maybe clarify the muddy water, if that makes any sense. It's just two words, which would fall under shall solicit, comma, accept, comma, or offer anything of value, including a gift, loan, reward, promise of future employment, favor, or service based on any understanding that the vote, ... Correct. It's just a suggestion. I'm just throwing it out there. Probably semantics, more or less, but,
No, that's kind of the way I look at this too, is just let's put our ideas on here.
and then we
redline
can
'em.
get rid of them later.
Yeah, and I can make notes on, hey, we're going to revisit this.
Okay.
Law department's going to look at this, just use it as a brainstorming session.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Any other comments under solicitation or acceptance of gifts? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your input. I love it. We're going to go to the bottom of a page, salary and expenses. Should be the next page, Captain. Everybody there? Wonderful. No public, this is current ethics code. No public officer shall be prohibited from voting on a matter affecting his or her salary, expenses, or other compensation as a public officer as provided by law. And then as a suggested addition, travel expenses, because this is salary and expenses, travel expenses shall not exceed federal per diem rates for meals and lodging unless pre-approved by the Ethics Committee for exceptional circumstances. All officials in senior management must sign off annually on travel and expense policies, with expense reports reviewed annually by the county audit office and made available to the commission. Now, that's a suggestion, as all these are suggestions, and if we agree with it, just to give a heads up to the county commissioners, that would add work to the county audit office as well, just as a further, hey, look at this. Commissioner,
I appreciate the spirit of it, absolutely, and I think I understand what you're searching for in this statement. My concern is it going to then require the Ethics Committee to meet every time perhaps an official goes to New York or, somewhere and where you cannot stay, it's generally accepted you're going to go beyond per diem requirement. I'm looking more at a timing issue, I think, than anything else here. But I'm not real sure what to do with that.
could we, I understand where you're going. Where else could we suggest besides Ethics Committee? Mr. Kennedy?
Finance already has a lot of rules in place when it comes to travel expenses and things like that, that every county official has to follow. And that kind of sets the parameters. So it's kind of veering off course a little bit, and maybe we want to put something in here that calls back to the finance policy when it comes to travel and per diem reimbursement and stuff. But yeah, Commissioner Hill's correct. This is kind of veering. Again, good idea, love it, but practicality, I don't think we can do it.
What about, what about leaving the last sentence? So if we take out the travel expenses shall not exceed federal per diem rates, that sentence, but we keep all officials and senior management must sign off annually on travel and expense policies?
I think they already do that. Like,
Yeah.
it's, every elected official has to approve, especially out-of-state travel.
Yeah.
But I'll defer to you, Mr. Sanders.
Well, I was going to speak to that so much as I think that this provision's getting this committee out of its lane. You cannot, this committee's code cannot mandate a duty upon another entity in Knox County. To say it shall, that the auditor shall review, this committee doesn't have the authority. The Ethics Committee does not have the authority to mandate how the auditor does its job. And the auditor is not subject to the Knox County Ethics Code.
Okay, and I'll repeat what you said at the beginning, that this is a meeting of suggestions, and that Commissioner Hill and the balance of the committee, the commission will, not in whole, in her entirety, you could pick or choose, approving. Does the county commission have authority over the county audit office?
I suspect they do, but they would have to rewrite a lot of the rules related to that entity.
Okay?
I think one of the issues that occurred, even though finance does in fact sign off on all of these, is trying to put a Knox County employee in a position where they are where they have to tell an elected official they can or cannot do or spend, especially when it's within their own department, that they are in fact drawing their funds from. I mean, theoretically, it comes from the whole pot, but
Sure.
that's where I know what you're trying to do, and I'm wondering if Mr. Kennedy isn't correct, that isn't something that perhaps needs to be clarified through some rules, through finance or human resources or policies and procedures involving travel, that perhaps in that pot
Yeah,
it should be included.
Finance is the one that has the keys of the kingdom on that. So, and their policy is online. Pulled it up for everybody to review. It's pretty lengthy.
Yeah,
Just
I've seen
speaking
that.
from experience, travel is something that I'd prefer not to do. If I can do it on Zoom, I'm doing it. Because don't want my name in the paper. So there's a lot on here that is required for anybody that wants to travel for whatever it might be. Again, controlling other elected officials is difficult.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, I just want to remind everybody, we've been reading since about 8:40 definitions and things that affect everyone else in the county. That's what the ethics code is about. And what about all officials and senior management must sign off annually on travel and expense policies? So I think as it stands right now, it's when you first get elected or when you first get hired.
Yeah, that could just be reinforcing what's already there, calling attention to what's already there. Again, I'm defer to Mr. Sanders on that, but that might be okay. Just saying, hey, reinforcing what that policy says, where officials and senior management must sign off on the travel expenses.
Because this whole list here affects, and this is long before us, this whole list prior to salary and expenses affects expense reports, affects finance. I think the key intent here is really that first part of the second sentence, all officials and senior management must sign off annually on travel and expense policies. Because it would be the hope of myself, and I don't know if the rest of the committee, but the expense reports should get updated and changed periodically as well. And it would be great opportunity for the officials, both elected and county employees, to be able to make sure that they've reviewed those.
Mr. Kennedy, does that per diem and all come down, is that state regulated?
I believe it's federal. I think it's the federal rate.
Oh, federal rate?
Yeah, yep.
Thank you.
What are the policies right now that we have in place, like through the finance committee? I mean, is there not something that we already have in place for the county that you have to sign off on? Or I guess, what are those policies and procedures? I would think there's something already in place around this.
I believe you sign off once when you go through orientation or when you start office or you become a county employee. So this, Mr. Kennedy?
More or less, yeah. I mean, it's usually up to the senior director of that department or management of that department to outline what the travel policy is for John Doe team member that joins day one as a laborer at Engineering and Public Works. They're not necessarily going to have training on the travel policy. So it's just mainly job related. The finance department will do outreach if you are going to have a conference coming up that you need to travel to. They will happily help you out, give you some training on, hey, what can you spend money on, what can't you, things like that. And so again, I pulled their travel policy up, and it's pretty lengthy. Feel free to peruse it if you are having a hard time sleeping. I would encourage you to check it out. But it's got a lot of stuff in there, and just speaking from experience, I very much rely on the finance department if we're traveling anywhere, because it's a very slippery slope, and you can get in trouble pretty quickly for it. So, but training-wise, there's really not a lot unless it's something that's coming up. Then we'll do it at that point. But mandated training across everybody that comes in through orientation, not necessarily.
I will say too, Mr. Kennedy, if you've seen different, let me know. I think that on this particular, if violations occur, the problem seems to be at the top, not the bottom. Because typically if a department or a group are going somewhere, most of the time, the director is very thorough, very cautious in what's being spent and looks at it hard, and it's again, it spins back to the top where you've got someone that really all you can do is advise, but you can't tell them what they can or cannot do or spend.
Well,
I'll
I
plead the
think,
fifth on that.
I think shortening
I'll plead the
this,
fifth.
Yeah.
I think shortening this to all officials and senior management must sign off annually on a travel and expense policy, and set the rest of it, I think would get us to a better place. There's no audit unless a complaint is filed. There could be an audit if a complaint is filed, which Mr. Kennedy showed us the complaint form. But, and this also, Commissioner, addresses, like you said, it's usually at the top, and this sentence says all officials and senior management. Those are the ones that
It's good.
have the purse strings mostly.
I'm playing the semantics game again, but all officials, is that all elected officials and senior management? So that is a compound question. So and I'm not familiar, so I don't know. Does each individual entity in Knox County have their own separate travel and expense policies? That will be question one.
I don't think so. I think finance is the one that, and I don't want to speak for them. They're the experts, but I think Mr. Sanders, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every even elected official has to follow the guidelines by finance, if I'm not mistaken. When it comes to travel and stuff like that, I think that policy applies to them too, right?
So it's one Knox County blanket policy.
I think so. I don't know for sure.
I don't
I
know.
believe
I
that's
don't know
correct.
either.
I believe that's correct.
So if and we can get clarification on that, but if there's one blanket travel and expense policy that they are mandated to require, then why would the elected officials and senior management sign off on it every year? Or are we asking them to sign off and acknowledge it, that they understand the travel and expense policies of Knox County?
Correct. That they understand it. And it's always a good reminder when you're dealing with expenses and especially the public's money, to re-acknowledge on an annual basis. But also secondly, again, if there are changes, it's a great reminder. If there's changes to the policy, it's a great reminder and responsibility, not only to the officials and senior management, but to finance, to review those changes.
If that's the case, and again, it's just semantics, but I would just add that all officials and senior management must sign off acknowledging the travel and expense policies. Not
Well,
just sign off on, but they acknowledge that they've read it.
Oh, that's
and-
great.
yeah.
I would leave the word annually in there, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I would agree with that. Is everyone okay with that? I think that the sign-off takes care of the acknowledging, but
Probably,
I'm
but-
happy to put that in there. Okay, anything else in salary and expenses?
Did we decide, I'm sorry, did we decide on that last sentence? So what did we where did we
To
take it out?
take that out, after, it would be, my suggestion was travel and expense policies, period, and then take the rest out.
Is that okay right
I'm
there?
sorry, I can't see that far.
Actually, Mr. Kennedy added established by the Knox County Finance Department, which is great.
Is that any better? It's cut.
Oh, okay, I see it now. So
Yeah.
take the part with expense. Okay, I got you.
Let
I'm
me-
following now.
Let me change the formatting here a little bit. Hang on.
We all need that bigger.
'Cause it's-
Thank you so much.
There. It was splitting up on the screen,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that might be better.
Was that helpful, Ms. Gibson?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little slower than you guys. I can't keep up that fast. So, yes, it clarified. Thank you.
Any other comments from the right of the dais? All right. Misuse of public position. the current, Madam Commissioner, anything else, or are we okay to move to misuse of public position?
You guys are good.
No, no problem. Misuse of public position. Currently, the Ethics Code states no public officer or county employee shall corruptly use or attempt to use his or her official position or any property or resource which may be within his or her trust or perform his or her official duties to secure a special privilege, benefit, or exemption for himself, herself, or others. Now, this seems like this has been added as a suggestion due to modern U.S. standards. This includes misuse of social media for personal gain or sharing confidential data. That's why I stay off Facebook, but go ahead.
What are they talking about when it aligns with the U.S. standards, confidential data? Well, like, what are we looking at with that? What does that look like?
The new provisions align with modern U.S. standards?
No, the confidential data. Like, what are they referring to there?
Oh, anything that's confidential to their job. So nobody should be sharing on Facebook. If Mr. Sanders is having a talk with, not picking on you, sir, with Ms. Hill, he should not be going to Facebook and saying, well, Ms. Hill and I spoke about this, or any other. HR is a huge hotbed. Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, and I apologize because, I mean, obviously, I did say in the beginning of this meeting that I would steer away from giving comments until I've had a chance to review all this. I would ask that you give a clarification when you're talking about social media, whether you're talking about official social media platforms of the county, or are you talking about personal social media?
Sure. Great
And-
suggestion.
And because those are two very different issues with very different legal implications.
So we'll need you to opine on that if if, in your opinion, we could put personal as well. I don't think that county employees should be speaking about confidential data on anywhere on social media.
Well, we're sort of, okay, so first of all, the delineation. Obviously, we can regulate the speech of employees on county platforms.
Yes.
And you get into regulating speech of employees on personal platforms, that becomes a First Amendment issue. I'm not saying that all speech is allowed, and some speech is expressly, you cannot talk about because you violate the department rules. Hence your hypothetical about my speaking about a conversation with Commissioner Hill. Now, obviously, as an attorney, I've got a whole host of other problems other than violating county ethics policy if I were to disclose attorney-client privilege communication. But just Joe employee out there has First Amendment rights, and so we would have to craft any such policy in order to satisfy First Amendment legal scrutiny if you were trying to apply this to their personal social media accounts. And that would take some looking at case law and determining what those parameters are. I would also note that, a lot of what you seem to be trying to do in this is to dictate to office holders who have the right to control how their offices are run what a disciplinary infraction is or is not. That this would traditionally be in the purview of admonishing an employee if they disclosed particular information. Now, it's a big difference whether you're disclosing something that has major implications, such as something that's going to affect a bidding process on a parcel of property, say, versus disclosing that somebody had fell down a stairway and broke their foot. I mean, it's different issues.
Well, I'd love for you to opine on that, and this statement right here is very clear on This includes misuse of social media for personal gain or sharing confidential data. So it's very clear on what it's trying to say not to do. This is an ethics policy. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page, especially with the representative from the law director. This is an ethics policy that is supposed to be used for public officers and county employees. Can we agree on that?
Of course.
Wonderful. Could we, Commissioner?
No, please finish.
Okay. Could we also agree that there's plenty of direction and oversight already within the current code of ethics over public officers and county employees?
Well, plenty is an ambiguous term. I'm not sure where you're going with this. Plenty, each officer has considerable leeway. Each official actually has considerable leeway in how they conduct their jobs, how they run their offices. And when you say there's plenty of oversight, there is oversight. These rules, as they are applicable to the officials. Now, mind you, at the end of the day, what you're saying, what the code is saying is it is an ethics code violation to do X. That is, the ethics committee does not have the authority, the big ethics committee, say nothing of the subcommittee, does not have the authority to tell an official how to run their department, how to do their job. The most they can say is that if you do this, we'll consider that to be an ethics violation.
And thank you for that clarity, sir, because that is the frame of mind that I'm approaching this meeting as well. And I believe, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I believe the rest of us are as well. So,
And that's very true, because you all can propose things in the Code of Ethics that don't meet legal muster and still say this is considered an ethics violation, because ethics violation is not the same thing as breaking a law.
correct.
It's the appearance of, it's
Absolutely.
the propensity for, it's the overall confidence that we want to be sure that people maintain within our government. So keeping that in mind and getting on down the road, you might say, well, okay, it's an ethics violation, what are you going to do about it? Well, admittedly, the Ethics Committee has very limited governance in that, but there is something to be said for, even if it's just a sanction against that person. We are even if the law can do nothing about it, and even if it makes no difference to a job, there still is at least that recognition that this person did not act ethically in the mind of the Knox County Board of Ethics. So we don't
and-
have to be legal, we just have to be ethical.
Thank you, Commissioner, very much. And just in case nobody heard Mr. Sanders multiple times, we have no authority. And I totally agree with that. I just want to make sure you're clear that I understand that, and that anything we're doing today is a suggestion to the okay and authority, if they so choose, of the Board of Commissioners. And when I had used the term plenty, there are, throughout the current Code of Ethics, there are multiple pages of guidance on ethics behavior for public officers and county employees. And in fact, what I really enjoy most about the Ethics Committee is the Ethics Committee doesn't go out and find these things, doesn't go out and look over people's shoulders. We are here to suggest the standards that hopefully public officials, officers, and county employees are held to. That's all we're doing.
Correct. And we can't even, even if we sit back and we're scrolling social media, to reiterate your point, if we see a violation and, just because it says no public officer or county employee shall corruptly use, they should not direct someone to corruptly use a social media platform or something to affect their personal interest. And just because we see that doesn't mean we can do anything about it. It's up to the public to bring those to us. So we're not
Correct.
digging for violations, we are just accepting suggestions.
Absolutely. And I really put the Ethics Committee on par in this sense with the Law Department and the Law Director. The Law Director offers and opines their suggestions on things. They don't enforce, and they don't have final say of what the commission does. So I think we have a lot in common on that. You're much smarter than me. That's where the commonality really separates Mr. Sanders. So are we all good on, Mr. Sanders, are we all good on, do you feel we're all under the same understanding of what our purpose here is?
Well, let's just keep on continuing and we'll find out.
So I'll take that as a maybe. Wonderful.
Can we just add that one little line, no public officer or county, and again, just suggestions, because we'll
Go.
go back over it.
Please.
County employees shall corruptly use or attempt to use his or her official position or direct anyone in their capacity. Is that, do you see where I'm going with that when
I
it comes
do.
to, like, they can't, and I don't know exactly how one would word that, but just because they're not necessarily misusing their public position, they can direct someone to use the tools available to them to misuse their public position.
Does it answer on the others?
It may, and I could just, I can research that on my own time and just make me a little note for our next meeting to see.
I love where you're going. And I
Okay.
totally understand and appreciate where you are.
Okay,
I think the others may address that, but
Okay.
further research
I'll just make a note.
is welcome.
okay.
Okay. So are we okay, or any suggestions, or are we okay for Mr. Sanders to look at that last sentence and opine on his astute opinion? That's the red one. This includes misuse. And Mr. Sanders really brings up the great point of official versus personal. But I think either of those are addressed by I hope, by the personal gain or sharing confidential data, which align with, I think, much of the rest of the ethics code. Okay to move on? Disclosure of use of certain information. No public officer or county employee shall disclose or use information not available to members of the general public and gained by reason of his or her official position for his or her personal gain or benefit, or for the personal gain or benefit of any other person. That's important. Ms. Gibson, you had brought that up earlier. Or a business entity. Enhanced to include data privacy protections under federal and state law. I think that kind of just parallels the previous. The verbiage might not be the best. I'm kind of just putting some stuff out there. And of course, rely on Mr. Sanders, not only for his opinion, but if he sees any better verbiage. Any comments on any of that? Okay. The next one we have is lobbying by former local officials, prohibition. So this currently has a 1-year prohibition for lobbying after, so it says right here, a person who has been elected to any county office may not personally represent another person or entity for compensation before the governing body of which the person was an officer for a period of 2 years. Currently, it's 1 year. So I didn't stat out the black words there. 2 years after vacating the office. So that doesn't ban them from becoming a lobbyist. That just would say they can't, currently it's 1 year, that they can't come before the governing body that they were a part of and this does not affect county employees. This affects a person who has been elected to any county office. So just for clarity's sake, and for the public watching. Commissioner, do you have any comments?
I do know that the 1 year mirrors the state rule
Okay, so if we're,
for legislators and all. If, you know, if you all want to propose extending it, that's your discretion. Personally, I think that's a little too long, but.
so that was just a recommendation, and I put these out. I'm not wedded to any of these, I just wanted to put stuff out there that was researched. So that is parallel to the National Association of Counties standards. And I'm going to lean on all of you on if one year is still, and it, as the commissioner said, it parallels, the 1 year parallels current state law. I mean, we could put 25 years. I wouldn't suggest that. Maybe 24 years and 300 days. But I'm comfortable with either and would love the input of the committee.
I may just be, I mean, working night shift in my brain is just a fog, but I don't really understand what that is referring to. Can I get clarification
Sure.
on?
So say that Commissioner Hill, not picking on you, Commissioner Hill, because you are my favorite commissioner today, is your term is up in 3 years. And then she goes and joins a lobbying firm. She, as currently states in the ethics policy, cannot come before the commission or solicit any commissioners to do business on behalf of her lobbying or her customers. Does that make sense?
So basically, she can, as long as she's not compensated. She can do it on her personal time. Maybe that's where I'm fuzzy. So if she's hired,
okay.
if she's hired by an entity that is compensating her to lobby for a specific person, however, caveat, if she's not hired by an entity, then she can do it. Am I understanding that
Yes,
correctly?
it says for compensation before the governing body.
Okay,
So
now I
that-
understand. I gotcha.
That twists it like you're asking the right
Okay.
question.
I understand now, thank you.
My concern on this, and this is not a dog for me personally, but I do know that many times elected officials do move on to other government work or private work, and it might entail, and a lot of times they are hired because of their vast knowledge that they have working within a government entity, and because of the people that they know and that they have networked with. So I just would hate to make something too punitive, so to speak, that it would prevent a formal elected official from going out and be able to perhaps get a lucrative job or do something they were really interested in because of the fact that they were, in fact, an elected official. That's just kind of my take on
You're talking about length of time,
the
1 year
1
versus
year.
the
Yes,
2
sir.
or the
Yes, sir.
25.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good with the 1 year. I don't know if you all are.
Had any issues with it,
Nope,
that warrants 2 years, correct?
Mhm.
You know,
that we know of.
the state's good with it, I don't understand why we did it for 2 years.
All right. Ms. Gibson? You still good with 1 year?
I'm good with me researching this after I leave today because I'm just not familiar with it, and that's, you know, in my mind I think of like elected officials right now that are getting ready to leave office, and if they do go on to do bigger and better work, is it specifically mean a lobbying? Again, I read into everything, a lobbying firm, or can that elected official go on to another entity and if they're getting compensated, not work to advocate for the body of constituents that it just left? Like, to me, that's just what I'm trying to understand. And again, I can research that on my own time. I just need clarification of it. I don't want to handcuff people that have worked and been public officials for years, even if it's just 8, and they leave here and they want to do nothing but help their constituents from where they come. And with this saying that they can't, if they're compensated, like, what does that look like? What type of?
Well, number one, and Mr. Sanders can happily correct me, this is state law,
Okay,
1 year. The understanding, no problem. Please research, please get your arms around it, happy to help. I know Mr. Sanders would be happy to help. The focus here was the 1 year or 2 year. So we can't not enforce state law.
Right.
How about that for a double negative, Commissioner?
cannot not.
Cannot not.
I think it's just that personally word. I've not had any sleep, so now my brain's going in swirls, so.
And this is standard throughout the country.
Okay.
Where there's a time period where you can't go back and solicit from compensation.
Okay.
Okay? We're okay on the 1 year then?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to leave as is, Mr. Kennedy? So, yeah, you'll have to put in the one. And you can, yeah, change that back to black because that was the original verbiage. Thank you, sir. Anything under use of government property? Anything for process? Anything under Section 5, nepotism? This is where another suggestion. And again, the verbiage was just put out there for discussion. Okay? So if you look under nepotism, no elected or appointed official or employee of Knox County shall advocate, recommend, supervise, manage, or cause the employment, appointment, promotion, transfer, or advancement of his or her relative to an office or position of employment within the Knox County government. What was just put out there for discussion is employment restrictions are expanded to prohibit elected officials from hiring relatives in any capacity without ethics committee approval. So this, to me, I'm just putting it out there. I don't think the ethics committee should have that authority. I've been listening to Mr. Sanders here. And secondly, this runs counter to what it just said. So it's saying can't, sorry, Commissioner Hill, and then it's saying, well, you can if you're okayed by the ethics committee. Does that make sense how I'm reading that, sir, Mr. Sanders?
So far, yes.
Thank you. So I just wanted to open that up for discussion, and that's it. I personally would not recommend this change. Captain, any opinion, sir? Ms. Gibson, any questions or clarity? So what the first part is saying is not you, how about that? No elected or appointed official or employee of Knox County shall advocate, hire, manage, employment, God bless you, within the Knox County government. And then it says, oh, but maybe you could if you went before the ethics committee.
My only argument is that happens every day in Knox County. And it's not enforced. Again, that's not under our purview, but.
It's not under our purview. We are limited. It's in the ethics.
Right.
And that is up.
I would disagree with you respectfully that.
Sure.
Employment restrictions are expanded to prohibit. This county and some agencies are so large, and full disclosure, this does not have anything to do with any future ambitions of my own. I don't see with some of the departments being so large and expansive, if somebody has a talent or knowledge of a specific, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but if I don't know why they would or should be, as long as it falls under the governing rules, why they should be prohibited from being employed. If that was reviewed by the ethics committee and you approved it, embedded it appropriately,
Mr. Sanders, any opine on that? Comment from Ms. Gibson?
What she's talking about is essentially policy issues, which I'm going to try, probably unsuccessfully, to stay away from. But I would agree in general with what you stated earlier. I don't think this last sentence that's added here is going to pass muster. So if there is, if there's something this entity wants to take up regarding the nepotism policy, I don't think it's going to be reflected in that sentence.
If I may,
Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
perhaps, Crystal, and I'm falling back to my school board days, no elected or appointed official or employee of Knox County shall supervise, manage, or cause employment, appointment. I think if we, or advancement, I know in our school system, because again, it's such a large entity, we have lots of spouses that, both teach and are in, and Mr. Sanders helped me here, because I know you helped us a lot over there. You could not directly supervise or manage any of these people, but they could in fact be employees in other areas or other departments, but just not directly in your line of supervision.
That's my memory, Ms. Hill. That was not, as I recall, actually within the ethics policy of the school system. That
No,
was
it
somewhere
wasn't. It
else.
was just a,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's generally my recollection of how the school system worked, because as you say, they're relatives of people all over the school system, and it's probably true in lots of these entities.
So perhaps, Crystal, if it was just narrowed to you can't supervise, manage, or cause employment, so that they could still work, but just not directly under a relative.
Okay,
Just a suggestion, because it is tough when you got such a large entity.
right.
Well, this still allows for relatives to serve in Knox County government.
Yes.
It just limits that official from advocating, recommending, supervising, managing, or causing employment, appointment, promotion, transfer, or advancement. So I think what this is trying to avoid is if you have an elected official and they go to Miss Rhonda and say, Miss Rhonda, I really want you to hire my brother. That's where the advocate recommend. That really puts Miss Rhonda in a tough spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though that person wouldn't be reporting to the elected official, that's not fair to Miss Rhonda. And I think that's why the advocate and recommend
Okay.
portion is. So again,
Indications of impropriety. I understand.
yeah, but Ms. Gibson, I love that you're bringing this all up, because this doesn't limit a relative from working. If it limited a relative from working in Knox County government, that would be a different discussion. Then I'd lean towards what you're saying of, whoa,
Okay.
wait a minute. So it still allows relatives to work, correct, Mr. Sanders? And that was a question, not a statement. Just not
Yes, I
under
mean,
them.
yeah, employees can still work within, relatives can still work within Knox County. But again, I think your example was a very good one. If you have someone, a very high-ranking official coming to someone and leaning on them to hire a relative or something, that does create a problem.
Thank you, sir. I think what really that sentence was put out there for is to go with, if I were elected somewhere and I wanted to hire my wife as my chief of staff, which, for the record, she is the boss anyways. Ms. Hill knows this very well. Then I could go to the ethics committee for approval. And that would be, again, we don't hold policy. We can't enforce. We can't do any of that. I would not I brought this up for conversation. I would not advocate to keep this red sentence in. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can take that part out, and I would, playing devil's advocate, I would say leave shall advocate, recommend, supervise, manage, because as Mr. Sanders said, you know, you're looking at possible coercion, somebody saying, hey, I need you to hire my nephew or whatever, like, you know, speaking as an HR pro, personally, not in any function of anybody else, just my professional opinion, hire based off of merit, go through the interview process.
Absolutely.
Review resumes, because you don't know who you're going to find. There's a lot of qualified people out there, and if it happens to be a family member, then great, but as long as you go through a objective process, then you're going to be good. And the team that's coming in, that's going to have a new person coming in, they'll be happy with it. They're not going to have that looking at the lens of, oh, it's just because they're a friend or something like that. No, if you go do it objectively, that's going to keep that team cohesion together, which is important in getting stuff done. So
Yes.
just my HR opinion. I'll shut up now.
No. And to bring that up from an HR opinion, which personal thought is, you're in a hole if you're ever hiring a relative directly, even if you got it okayed by the ethics committee, that relative is always
It's still
going to
gonna
have
make
a
headlines.
cloud. Well, they're always going to have a cloud around them from the team.
That is true.
Wonderful. For the purposes of this policy, and then it explains what a relative is. Any additions, changes on that? Moving on to section 6, and we are making headway here, folks, so I want to thank you for your patience. Whistleblower protection. I put this in here, but under D, you'll notice that there's a red line. But I really think that I think there already are anonymous reporting options.
No,
No, there are not?
no. I don't believe there is.
Yeah, we have, Ms. Rhonda's saying that we do have them. This is not something I deal with, so.
Okay. HR, dude?
Yeah, you have internal audit, that's an anonymous hotline, and then you also have the HR portal that comes into for team members, if they need to make a complaint, and we'll cross paths occasionally, because some folks may use the HR portal, and then we'll share it with internal audit and say, hey, this is for you all, or vice versa. So there's absolutely ways for anonymous reporting. I mean,
Wonderful. That's
we
all I
get them all the
wanted to
time.
make sure.
We've gotten some handwritten ones that look like it was done by a serial killer, so.
You mean like to cut the
They
newspaper
cut it out,
out
it was like,
stuff?
it was very interesting.
Well, then
so.
everyone knows it's me if that's what happened.
To clarify that, there's no anonymous direct avenue for the public to bring us, the ethics committee, an anonymous complaint. That would be through other avenues.
Yeah, through internal audit, that's where that anonymous reporting would go to. So if the public observes something that is unethical, they would go to internal audit, and then if they want to do the sworn complaint, then they can do that too.
It's just not easy for the public to find and understand that. So when they start talking or things make the headlines and they want to make an ethical complaint, and for example, they Google ethical complaint and it says, it pulls up the form that they fill out, the sworn complaint form. There's no specific avenue to direct them. Well, if you don't want to do a sworn complaint, you want to do it anonymously, that you should go to the internal audit review.
That gives me a good idea. On this webpage, I can put a link to the internal audit
Okay.
page. That way, if they Google knoxcounty.org/ethics, they'll still have links. So less surfing, and it's going to be right there. So
Okay.
I'll work with IT on adding another tile that takes them to the internal audit page where
Okay.
they can do the portal.
Awesome.
Yep. Good idea.
That's a
All right,
great
so
idea.
could we agree to stat that? I just wanted that for erase it. I just wanted that for discussion and make sure that we had avenues for that.
Are you talking about
The red.
section 6D?
The red part, yes, ma'am. This was just put on there to ensure that we had anonymous. And again, our focus is on elected officials, employees, and appointees.
I wouldn't take it out, I would leave it. I think the disclaimer there, protections are strengthened to include, again, just my opinion. I don't think it's hurting anything to align it with the federal whistleblower standards, just to further clarify it.
Why don't we have Mr. Sanders review that then? Okay, would that be, Ms. Gibson, would that be okay?
Yeah,
Have
absolutely.
Mr. Sanders look at that. Okay, section 7, we're getting there. Section 7, theft, misappropriation, or mismanagement of county funds. The suggestion on E was theft, misappropriation, and mismanagement of county funds are to be reported to the Knox County Fraud Hotline as provided under state law and are criminal offenses and shall not be under the jurisdiction of the Ethics Committee. And then there was just a note here in red, enhanced auditing and reporting requirements added with annual reviews by the audit office. That is a question. Is there any auditing happening? Is there, again, we have no purview. I'm just putting it out there from a question standpoint. Commissioner, does that make sense?
Oh, I wasn't totally tuned in. I was reading just in case y'all don't know, we have a fabulous internal auditing department here within Knox County government. And I will tell you, they pick up, they hear anything, and man, they are right on it. So that's something to feel very good and confident about. And I'm not answering your question, I don't think, but under B or C, D, and E, because those are in fact illegal, they're not really ethical considerations. Because if somebody does that, it's illegal anyway. That's breaking a law.
Okay.
That's just a comment as far as
Sure.
if you wanted to stick more with the ethics and not not having everything legal.
I think these parallel CTAS, but we can look
Okay.
at that.
And I didn't look at CTAS, so that's
Yeah.
very fair.
Yeah. So I think the question goes to, should there be any, on the red, under E, enhanced auditing and reporting requirements added with annual reviews by the audit office? I don't know what those enhanced auditing and reporting requirements, and I don't even know if they're needed. I'm just not familiar what, Mr. Kennedy,
I don't think that's needed, honestly.
that's why, again, on there just to ask the question. We are a finely honed and tuned county here. All right, so I would say stat that if the committee agrees. Ms. Carletta, Captain? All good? I'm good. All right. Hey, we're on 8, Ethics Committee. So here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that we adjourn and that we pick this up at our next meeting. And I would urge the committee to add and review. Nothing says, right, Mr. Sanders, that we got to go through all this today, right?
No, that's right. It's up to your discretion.
Woo-hoo! All right. How's the committee feel about that? I'll try to keep this to 10 o'clock on the next one as well. Is that fair, committee? Oh, thank you.
My bad.
Who was that? Was that you, Mark?
That was mine. Forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
So,
Flat tire of the team over here.
for the record, at the next meeting, we'll start at Section 8, Ethics Committee. I urge you all to read this, and that's what we'll focus on. And Mr. Sanders may have a chance to look at some of these questions between now and then. So, Mr. Kennedy.
Does anyone need help with the OneDrive, accessing that to where we can upload these documents? Because I can help you out with it to make sure you should be able to see it.
No,
Greg?
did we get clarification on using that avenue as a means for if I wanted to change that? We just can't discuss it, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
So,
if you want to
so if you
upload.
upload it, there's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And what I'll do is I can convert this to a PDF and post it on the website like we talked about earlier. And so this will be our version 1, effective today's date. And then next meeting, we'll do version 2. That way people can see the progress that we've made and changes we've made, so.
Who owns the original document? Is that you, Mr. Chair?
No, it's open, well, the one that you have in your hand right there?
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be me.
Can you just add some page numbers?
Yeah, I can format it and
It
clean it
helps
up
me.
and everything.
Yeah, I hear ya.
I'll clean it
Dr.
up. but,
Smeltzer
yeah,
can
Mr. Biddle
sympathize.
created it, and then I can tweak it a little bit to make it easier to.
Okay.
So.
Ms. Carletta, we're almost done, ma'am. No problem. We have to adjourn, and I want to make sure, because Captain Stennett usually has like 10 more things we have to go through. All right. Mr. Sanders, thank you so much. To Miss Rhonda, to Miss Kim, superstar, note taker, to our special guest, Commissioner Terry Hill. Are you talking? No,
No,
You
I
just-
appreciate you being here and offering
you
your
are
insights.
doing great. You are, Miss.
For the
Miss Hill,
record.
Miss Hill, thank you so much for your input. To the committee, thank you so much. Is there any more business to be had? Seeing none, I would love for somebody to offer a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Hey, whoa. Second, Ms. Carletta. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.